Hello, everyone. Welcome to Bells Beyond Podcast by Bell Sisters. My name is Masichi, and I am your host at the Bells Beyond Podcast. We are a community driven social enterprise building support system for female founders of color. And our community first as safe spaces where our women can form genuine connections and they can grow together. We are basically a community where you can be vulnerable about your business journey without fear of judgment. And today we have Samantha Harris, who just stepped into a new season of freedom. So, after 32 years, Samantha retired so that she can fully focus on the work that she's here to do. Samantha works with women who are already powerful, whether they're on the job site, in corporate, or they are building a business, but they are navigating environments that try to shake their confidence. Samantha helps them hold on to their voices, helps them trust themselves in real time, and stop second guessing themselves in moments that matter. Welcome, Samantha.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here today. Yes, and I was there 33 years.
Wow, that's a long time. Can
It
you?
is. It
Yeah.
is. Having worked in an environment I worked for the same company for 33 years, but I worked in male-dominated position for the past 27 plus a little bit more. And during that time, I faced different challenges, being the only woman, the first woman, and one of the only Black women. It was always a challenge, a question of, am I equipped? Why would I want to do these jobs? Why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I want to make the same money as you? I worked in the trades, so I was helping with infrastructure and I worked with plumbers, I worked with mechanics. Everything always changing every day. We were the doers, the shower uppers. And as I got to know my position, I then grew into supervision. And in supervision, it was the same as being um, working in the field. I call it working in the field, working on job sites. People question my identity, if I was capable, and they didn't just do it quietly, they did it directly in my face. Like, you're not a real boss. Who do you think you are? Even though I was giving out job assignments, even though I was telling them what to do, even though I gave them their time off, they still questioned my abilities. And even though I had receipts every single day of how I led teams, I led the emergency unit when it inclement weather to make sure that the airports was operational. So everything that I did, I knew that I did, but it was people that wanted to question my abilities. A lot of women say that it is imposter syndrome. No, because first of all, I don't sign up for that. It's a disruption to your confidence.
Hmm.
So my confidence was disrupted sometimes, but for the most part, I showed up every single day and I led, I mentored, and 85% of the men that I supervised that were direct reports to me have gone on to new positions. Some of them ended up at the same level as me. So I knew that I was bringing my A game working in these environments.
So, one of the things you said is that it disrupted your confidence sometimes. And also that these people they questioned your authority, not even behind you, but directly, which is mind-blowing to think about. How did you deal with situations like that? And even on during the times when your confidence was questioned, how were you able to gain it back?
Well, in all honesty, you never lose your confidence. When it's disrupted, you might have a little doubt. You might second guess, but it's never gone. It's always there. And me recognizing that by building what I call my brag bag, and lean into it, letting me remind myself of how qualified I am. And my qualifiers were quantitated because I knew exactly how much and how I did it. And I could see it for myself. I wasn't waiting for validation. I've started validating myself. And in validating myself, I stopped subscribing to what they thought, what they felt about me. And I could stand rooted in who I was. And I got to show up no matter what, which allowed me to have my nervous system regulated, where I wasn't always, because they tell women of color, they describe us as resilient. I didn't want to be resilient because being resilient meant my nervous system was off and I was waiting for the next shoe to drop, or I was on that hamster wheel of always proving myself, always overgiving, oversharing.
Mm-hmm.
So I can say the time that it changed for me was I was called animated by my boss because I told a direct report to get back to work, and he questioned my authority. And I stood for myself and I let him know who I was and what I did, and his feelings was hurt. Now remember, I'm the only woman, only black woman. So now I'm flexing. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I'm flexing. I'm like, listen, I'm a general. I'm putting my fingers. Let me get back to work.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna continue to explain myself. My
Mm.
work, as old church people would know, my work spoke for itself. It's an old gospel
Yeah.
song. Yes. So in that moment, he reported me, and my chief at that time said to me, Samantha, well, you can supervise, but you don't have to be so animated. So recognizing that and standing in that, and I used to have it in my office. I said I was going to bring it here in my office. I had this signer, ally of mine. He gave to me as a joke, but it ended up being my mantra. Behind every successful woman is herself. And I was
Mm-hmm.
able to lean into that, knowing that I had to have my own back, knowing that I wanted my own support, not that I wanted to leave, because a lot of women don't want to leave, but they get exhausted and tired of always
Mm-hmm.
being having to gear up for battle, always having to show up, having hope to put on the whole armor of God every single day just to go into your job. But when you start moving in flow of and in flow of what you know,
Mm-hmm.
that's what shifted me. So it didn't matter what they thought. It's only what I thought and what I knew for a fact that rooted me in my confidence, because now I'm no longer subscribing to their foolishness.
Mm. So there was something that you mentioned, which was one of the things that also helped you. You said you built something called a brag bag.
Oh, yes.
Can you tell us more about it?
Some people say, oh, is that just a list? No, it's not. Brag bag is all your receipts of everything that you've ever done that qualifies you, that you lean into, that allows you to recognize that you belong there. Because a lot of times we move just automatically.
Mm-hmm.
But when we move in understanding our value, not our worth, because it's a difference between worth and value. Everyone gets mixed up. They think that your worth is the value, but our worth comes from birth. So understanding that the value that we bring and we're able to see it, and then understand why we're bringing it, understand that next step of who we're bringing it to. So
Mm-hmm.
it's the steps of understanding why your nervous system is off, why you weren't bringing your whole telling the story. That is in your brag bag. So it allows you to lean in, and that roots you and it keeps you and it keeps boundaries in place. Your brag bag is part of your nervous system because we as women, we always showing up. We always got a bag with something in it, a safety pin, some lotion, some hand sanitizer, a tissue for your nose, piece of candy if you just need it. So having your own personal bag just for you, because we as women, we don't have that sometimes. So your
Mm-hmm.
brag bag is everything that you need in place to keep you steady, keep you ready to show up for you, not the rest of the world, because that's what we do also as women. We want to make sure the next generation, we want to make the person sure that the person standing on our shoulders to get there. This is just for you. This is your qualifier.
Okay, so First of all, how did you come about the idea of the brag bag? And secondly, what makes it different from, just a list of accomplishments?
Oh my goodness, I'm glad you asked that. What makes it different? Because you get to learn to stand in your truth. When you build your brag bag, you learn to treasure you more than anyone else. You
Mm,
build your own self-respect. And in your understanding, you get to trust you. And that means you get to hold on to you tighter than anyone else could ever hold you.
mm,
And that's your belief system. So that allows you to stay. That allows you to become the person that you know that you are already.
mm-hmm,
And you get to just trust and lean into that. I came up with the idea of the brag bag because having worked in these environments for so long, like I said, sometimes the challenges made me sit back and say, dang, should I still be here? Why was I doing this? And you know, you let the noise get at you sometimes where it disrupts your confidence. So one day I was just sitting and I allowed myself to ask myself the questions, why do I want to be here? What is
mm,
this for? And I just started really qualifying myself. So it's about your self-love. It allowed me to love on myself and what I was doing, and it allowed me to root myself in what I was doing. So
mm,
it just wasn't that moment of me. It took me time to build it. And I had a coach at the time that I was telling what I was doing and how I was doing. So I was like, it's just like I said to you earlier, it's like a bag that I just keep reaching into when,
mhm,
especially when you start healing and you start growing. I said to her, I was like, it's like this bag that I keep being in and I'm just grabbing my stuff out. These men ain't gonna shake my confidence. They not gonna do this. I just had a whole lot to say.
mhm,
And I was like, it's like my bag I'm using to brag on. And that's when it clicked for me. And then when I do my speaking engagements, I started talking about this brag bag and it took off from there.
mm,
Women were excited to build a brag bag. Women were excited to have their own arsenal where they could sit back and just be themselves without the fight, where
mhm,
they were no longer like, oh, I got to do this and I got to show them they had already showed themselves.
mhm.
So that's why.
I love that answer, and I love also how you talked about, the self-love and just basically reaching into your grab bag and knowing you have accomplished all of this, just getting in there, knowing that you're the it girl or the it
That's right.
woman.
That's right. That's right. Because, we've been taught to be humble, to be quiet, be still.
Mhm,
That's what a good girl does. We were
mhm,
told not to brag. We didn't want to be conceited. We didn't want people to think we were too much. But
mhm.
my brag bag, I'm telling you to teach that yourself that you are able to brag on
Mhm.
you,
When you
that you should be speaking about you. You should
Mhm,
be clocking with how your accomplishments, that you can do it. So that's the shift. And just learning more and allowing yourself to understand your feelings and emotions that are attached and why you weren't showing up. So a lot of the brag bag deals with not your nervous system, it deals with you, it teaches you how to care about yourself and knowing the difference between just loving yourself, between just caring for yourself and loving yourself.
Okay. Okay. I have a scenario because I really love this conversation. I love how you show up for women. So one of the things you do is you show up for women who are already, powerful, working. They're working through their journey, right?
Yes.
So let's look at the scenario. Let's say a powerful woman, she's doing amazing. She's probably okay, let's say she's in business, not corporate, right? She's doing amazing, and then all of a sudden something happens that disrupts her confidence, that makes her shrink back a little bit, and she's unable to even get out of that situation or out of that mindset. So she tries to, she reaches into the brag bag, she sees all the accomplishments, but it doesn't work. What would you say to a woman who is going through that?
And that it's okay. That it's okay for you not to see it right now. And I
Mm,
would ask her, because we get to feel. And when you have that disruption in your life at any time, we don't give ourselves grace to take a break, to take a breather. Sometimes your bag is so tight and your boundaries are so tight, you can't allow yourself to breathe. But I tell a woman, take your time. And while you're taking your time, write about the why you aren't able to see what you've accomplished.
mm, mm,
And just write a sentence a day. Just allow yourself that moment to breathe. And I know that women then, when they're able to see it and to just allow themselves, I'm crying, I'm sad because I can't believe they still keep passing me over.
mhm,
I'm angry because he took my idea as I was saying it and they respected his idea more than mine. That the CEO said no, or I'm giving too much for my family and I can't do anything for myself. When we can't see it, then we can't reach in. So
mhm,
that's why I asked them to just be and be sad, be angry, be hurt. Allow yourself to rest in those emotions. But while you're resting in them, just take a minute to ask yourself a few questions like,
mm,
hey, and tell yourself the truth. That's why it's so important to understand who you are so you can tell yourself the truth.
truth. Yes, I do love that answer because one of the things that my coach always says, it's about the truth. She says that you have to tell your heart the truth because you can't lie to it. You can lie to other people, you can lie to your mom, you can lie to your pastor, but your heart knows, and you have to actually say that truth and be in it for the moment and then begin the process of healing.
Come on to your coach. Come through, come through.
I love that. Okay, so now changing gears a little bit and um I know you've talked about the experience that you had with someone in leadership and how they talked about you being animated. So, have you ever felt pressure to lead a certain way to maybe be taken seriously?
Oh, yeah. So please, even sometimes now, as a consultant, as a coach,
Mm-hmm.
you want to say the right things as especially as a woman of color. We think we're supposed to say what they need to hear. And when I'm always having to remind myself of is, hey, take a minute, stand in your truth. And why aren't you? Ask myself, what am I hiding that I don't want people to see?
Mm-hmm.
That allows me to say, be like, hey, slow down. You are an amazing woman. You get to show up, and who's for you is for you. Who's going to be your clients are going to be your clients, and who needs your help is going to see you. So,
Mm-hmm.
yes, I do have those moments. I've had those moments even when I was still working at my job where I thought at one point I had to be like, lead like the men led.
Mm-hmm.
And that wasn't for me. Because let me tell you something, men are angry sometimes, most of the times in these positions, especially working on job sites. And that's not where my superpower was.
Mm-hmm.
My superpower was being able to communicate effectively using my voice,
Mm-hmm.
being able to get my employees to understand what was going on, how they should show up, and giving them examples. That made them more confident in their abilities, which allowed my teams to thrive.
Wow. So, okay, now as a woman in leadership, how about how do you balance authority with empathy? So I know that there can be situations where you're trying to be empathetic, especially you talked about men being angry, and of course that's not you, and you want to be empathetic, but also you have to show some level of authority. How do you balance those two?
The balance came from me getting to know myself and me understanding my authority and being assertive and not worrying about them. Can I cuss on here? Oh, wow.
I love that
Them,
you asked that. I love that you asked, but no, not really sad.
it's okay. It's okay. Them labeling me because that was a lot of it.
Mm-hmm,
Them labeling me as oh too soft, oh she talk too much, she's a bee, she's this. So me not allowing their thoughts about me to
mm-hmm,
control me was the key to me being able to lead and to know that I was doing it the proper way that allowed my team to grow. But
mm-hmm,
I could see when my team came to me and asked me questions and see how excited they were and how they were okay expressing themselves. Because you think
mm-hmm,
about it, I'm the only woman. And not that I was a dumping ground for their problems or their issues, but their comfort where they didn't have the fear of speaking up because they felt intimidated.
mm-hmm.
It was a difference in how my communication, still with authority, and I could laugh and I could joke and still have a good time, but my team knew when I looked over because they laughed at me, I'm just retired, like I told you, they laughed. They was like, when Samantha look over those glasses mid-sentence, they understood that it was business.
Mm-hmm.
Just like anything in your home, in friendships,
Mm-hmm.
workships, you get to know each other. And when it was about business, it was business. And not just me telling them, but me explaining it, which I did not mind doing.
What about in situations where authority was questioned?
Oh, sometimes it was hard. I've had um situations when I think back over it, it was crazy. I was working and I had a gentleman question my authority, told me that I was trying to intimidate him because I was a woman. I never heard of such nonsense in my life. And he wanted to be loud and very aggressive towards me.
Mm,
But me being able to stand my ground, I never stopped. And not that I wasn't fearful, because I didn't know what could happen. And I was working nights.
mm-hmm. Oh,
Yeah, so it was a quiet time.
that's not a good combination.
Now, but because I didn't continue the conversation, I ended it
Mm-hmm.
and I allowed the person to walk away. So it has been those moments where I wasn't certain of the outcome, but
Mm-hmm.
me standing in my authority and knowing when to walk away or
No.
knowing when to ask someone else to walk away
Mm,
or allowing them to think at that moment that they have the floor and that they can do what they needed to do. It allowed the person to calm down. It allowed him the ability to come back and apologize because
mm,
I didn't push, but recognizing when there is danger, recognizing when it's a conversation that could be had to de-escalate,
mm-hmm.
and knowing even in my position what I had to do and the reports I had to make afterwards to make sure that not only, because these things are not just for me, rules and regulations weren't just for me,
Mm-hmm.
they were for the employee.
Mm-hmm.
And having said employee, now he's having outbursts. That's safety. Safety not just for myself, but for my other direct reports. So following policy and procedure and making sure that I did that more than I wanted to protect and save someone because the protecting and saving can be for yourself or for anyone else. And
Mm-hmm.
wanting to, they think that every woman is supposed to be there to comfort you and support you and give you that. But in knowing that I had a job to do also, and knowing that, hey, I de-escalated this. I allowed him to walk away, but it was still reports that had to be done. And that's what made me a good supervisor. I could still have the conversations. I can still write the reports and I can still be supportive, even if it's from a distance.
I think that's a really good way to deal with it because one of the things that leaders have to learn is when to walk away from a situation so as to de-escalate it. Because one I can't remember the book that I read this. When someone is upset and they are yelling and you're trying to match that energy, almost 100% of the time, nothing good actually comes out of it because both of you are heated at that moment. But when one person maybe steps back, then the other one is also forced to, because at that point, if you don't step back, then you look like a crazy person because you're just yelling on your own. So I think that's a really good way to deal with certain issues as a leader. Now, as a woman in a male-dominated field, I know it can be very hard just navigating it because I am in tech and women, we all know it's also male-dominated. So it can be very tough and very tricky navigating, not to talk of doing that as a leader. So for you, Samantha, what helped you make difficult decisions when there was no clear answer? So when there was no, oh, this is the pathway to go about this, or this is the pathway to go about this. How did you decide the right thing to do?
Study my own integrity.
Mm,
I have my own morals and values that I stand in, besides the fact of the policies and procedures, knowing what to do, what I know is the right thing. That's not going to cause any hurt or harm to anyone, nor
mm-hmm,
myself. So being able to stand in that, that was the key to me. Because sometimes it's not going to be a clear path. Every rule isn't written. That's what the
mm-hmm.
people that feel it's a handbook for everything and you can flip through it and find it, you can't.
Yeah,
And being a leader, you have to be able to make decisions.
yes.
That's why it's so important for you to know who you are and what you stand for, what you believe in, what you trust in, because that allows you to make the right decision ethically and morally.
Morally. Mm-hmm,
You have to be rooted in something. You have to be able to trust yourself that whatever you've made a decision in, that it's come from the right place and it's not from maybe your background or your this or your what your auntie thought or what your mother thought or what your family traditions were. It's what you do as a human being.
who
And that's
you
why
are.
it's so important for us to know who we are
Mm-hmm.
outside of what we've been taught. Because we as women attach ourselves to what the rest of the world thinks sometimes because we want to be accepted and loved.
Yeah.
But when we accept and love ourselves, that's when we are able to stand in our integrity.
Okay, so have you ever then has there ever been a situation where you stood in your integrity, you made a decision when where there was no clear answer and it backfired?
No, I'm just kidding.
No?
Um, Honestly, where it backfired, I think because of years of knowing,
Mm.
if I could pinpoint, I wish I could pinpoint one time. I know it has probably happened. Um, I'm going to say when I defend a point, when I've defended a point or defended a person when I believe that they were right, where I was wanting another woman to come into the environment that we worked in.
Mm-hmm.
I stood my ground and why I wanted her because I sat on the boards for hiring. And of course, when I see women, I'm like, oh goodness, here they come. I want them here. And I stood in that. I stood in why I wanted her.
Mm-hmm.
And I did get a lot of pushback.
Mm.
We didn't hire her not because she wasn't qualified, but because her reputation preceded her.
Mm.
So she went on to work. Someone else did give her an opportunity, and it was brought to my attention some of the things that she did to disrupt that work environment. So I realized at that moment I had stopped looking at everything and I was just looking at the fact that she was a woman. But was she the right woman for this job?
Mm.
So I learned to have to check that for myself. Yeah.
Wow. I'm sure, yeah, that's a really good way to, as you said, check for yourself. That's interesting.
Why
Okay.
is it interesting?
No, it's interesting because so basically this is you take decisions because you know who you are in your power, you know who you are, and then you had this situation where you were supporting this woman and got a lot of pushback. So I just find it interesting because as someone who is also a leader, there are times I've taken decisions that I genuinely thought was the right decision, and then it didn't work out the way I anticipated. And when that happened, it would make me shrink a little and then start questioning myself. Did that ever happen to you? Has that ever happened to you where, because of the decision that didn't go well, you kind of felt a little, you stepped back a little bit?
I'm going to say, not in my later years of
Mm-hmm.
being in supervision, but in my earlier years,
Mm-hmm.
especially being on job sites and leading teams and wanting to hold my ground that I made this decision and wanting them to follow my way of doing things. Like, no, this is what I'm telling you to do. I need this dock built right here, not somewhere else. These are the specs. This is what it's supposed to be. And forgetting to trust my staff and their expertise.
Mm-hmm.
And it made me say, Dad, was I the right person for this? It did make me doubt that. But learning that I can make a mistake, I can learn something, and it made me a better leader. So when I really think about it, it didn't make me doubt my abilities, to be very honest.
Mm-hmm.
It made me doubt the way I was supervising, the way
Mm-hmm.
I was leading, and it made me a better leader for that. Not questioning if I should be there.
Mm-hmm.
What made me question wanting to be there or if I should be was the people questioning my abilities, not me
Mhm.
questioning
Not
myself.
questioning yourself.
Yes, because when I came up when it was white Italian men and Irish men who
Mhm.
didn't believe, and it's still a lot. Some who have said it, even within this past year, women don't deserve to be in these jobs. You're taking jobs away from men.
Mhm.
It made me think like maybe I shouldn't be here. So much stress, so much aggravation. I'm just tired. I'm exhausted.
Mhm.
Even when I was, because I worked in paving also, and I think back to those days when they were angry with me for standing up saying that, hey, the way you're doing overtime equalization isn't right. And they thought at night to scare me, they were sweeping dirt on me. So it's a lot of things.
Hmm.
So those are the things that made me doubt, but
So
not being a
not
leader.
not being got you. And you said that in your early years you did have some doubt, but in your later years not as much. Do you think that came with having acquired experience?
No, mm-mm. It came with getting to know me. Me getting to know me. and knowing what I was capable of and being able to see it and being able to own it, that's the missing part. We don't own it. And you see, I had to lean in for this. We don't own it. We don't own it enough. We know what we do on a daily basis. But when we actually learn it, own it, and stand in it,
Mhm.
game over.
Mm. So knowing yourself and owning it, not
Own
just
it.
knowing yourself, living in it and owning it.
Yes.
Wow.
Because we're not just shooting for little dopamine hits like every now and
Mhm.
then.
Yeah.
When you're able to own it, that's that feeling all through you all
I'll
day,
tell you what,
every day.
everything comes all together.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, so as we're ending this podcast, what advice would you give to a woman stepping into leadership for the first time?
I'm going to tell you, take your time. Don't think you have to know it all, do it all, be it all.
Mm,
Bring what you have and know that that's enough at that moment and build from there. Because we get into this proving ourselves. If you weren't qualified, you wouldn't be there. So
mm-hmm.
trust that what you have right now is enough.
No, trust that what you have is enough. Thank you so much for that advice, Samantha.
You're
Um,
welcome.
As you were speaking, I also couldn't help but thinking about how powerful it is when women have spaces where they don't have to perform or prove anything to be seen or supported. And that's also the heart behind our community. Bell Sisters, we have created it as a safe and intentional community for women navigating business and life. Where we have growth happens through connection and collaboration and not competition. So if you're listening and you have been craving genuine sisterhood and conversation like this, our community definitely exists for you. So you can go to our website, click and then go through the process and join our community. And now to our guest, Samantha, I want to say thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of this conversation. I learned a lot. I learned a lot from just listening to you. If nothing else, I have taken away living in your truth, knowing yourself, and owning it.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you again for having me. I appreciate it. I'm glad that you received, and I hope your audience feels the same way. Thank you.
Thank you, Samantha. And guys, thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode next week. Bye.